Chris, the ship's moving. Get out of there now. What?
One of my favorite scenes in this film is when you lose the umbilical cord, when Chris loses the umbilical cord and you have to climb that structure. I know you guys were underwater for parts of at least filming this. When you have to climb that structure and all of the equipment is on you, what's going through your, what's the training like for a sequence like that?
I mean, thankfully we've done a lot of training with the equipment on. It's heavy, it's really cumbersome, but the hardest thing in that particular shot is actually finding the lens. You'll see that the helmets only have about that much room to see out of. So for the camera to find your eyes without there being a reflection, you're really having to move your whole body around and all of your shoulders around to find the lens. So working with the camera in that environment was actually more tricky than the physical climbing and the moving around.
I got a bit of a spoiler question to ask you next. The scene when you get kind of come back to life at the very end, man, did that make me well up, because you're rescued, but then we're like, what's the quality of life he's going to have moving forward? But what's going through your mind as an actor when you're slowly, you have the kind of the deadpan eyes for a while, and then slowly life starts to flicker in, we get some blinks, and then all of a sudden you're back to being Chris?
I mean, all I really had to go on was what happened in the Bell on the night, and talk to Chris about how, and it's a harder conversation to have with someone because it's traumatic, but Chris was super open with me and honest about every part of the accident from his perspective and his point of view. So I had what his memory was of the incident, but then also had a little bit of insight from Duncan and Dave about how he sort of flickered back to life and what they were monitoring, and that was all I really had to go on, and we tried to get it as close as possible.
Yeah, so much care put into the craft. I'll wrap with this. I'm asking everyone this: how long do you think you could hold your breath underwater for?
I'm gonna do they're gonna say 10 minutes, so no, I'm gonna be 3 minutes maybe.
You're tied for first right now. Alex or Mitchell said 3 minutes.
Alex said, all right, well, are we gonna have to test this at some point?
No.
Right,
it's
4 minutes. 4 minutes. You heard of him?
4 minutes. All right, you're number one. Ben, thank you for your time. Appreciate you.
Thanks a lot.
Well, Mitchell, thank you so much for taking the time. How's it feel to bring this thing to the big screen?
It was a long journey. Any movie really is, and I'm just really proud of the effort that the filmmakers put into it, the cast and crew. The production values are pretty wild. We weren't using green screens. It was real. Woody was in a tank in Malta, 40 feet underwater. So to see all that kind of finally hit the big screen was great.
And educate me here a little bit. I know it was based on a documentary of the same name too. Were you involved in that at all?
No. I just adapted the documentary into the feature film.
Very cool. And when I was talking to Woody at the junket, it was interesting to me because everyone in this film is playing real people. Woody elected not to do an accent. There's not really any Scottish accents beyond Finn's in this film. What were the aspects that you wanted to make sure you mirrored exactly as they played out in real life? And which ones were you okay taking liberties with and taking your own creative direction with?
You have to take creative liberties when you're, trying to do a true story, because even the language that they use is divers. I mean, it sounds like, it's like mathematicians speaking about, formulas. So we need to make sure that everybody that sees it can understand really what's at the heart of this, which is hope and survival and the power of love, and how we can do these extraordinary feats when we're driven like that. That's what makes human beings so interesting, So yeah.
I'm smiling a bit here because I brought this up to Finn at the junket. One of my favorite films of all time is Interstellar. And when I first saw Interstellar, I was 13 years old. I was like, oh my God, the transcendent power of love. Is that really goes beyond space and time? As the years go on, you start to feel it a little bit more. Films like this really embody it, which I think is really cool. I'll wrap with this. How long do you think you can hold your breath underwater?
Not very long, probably a minute.
Not 30 minutes?
No, I mean, I know Kate Winslet can hold hers for 12 from Avatar. But you have to train for it. It's a whole process. Yeah, no, probably 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, we're gonna ask the whole cast and we're gonna see who ranks the highest. 2 minutes right now. You're number one.
I think Simu probably can make it longer.
He seems like the athlete.
Yeah, exactly.
Mitchell, thank you again so much for your time. Appreciate you. Well, Alex, congrats on bringing this film to the big screen. I know you're also involved with the documentary, and something I found so fascinating, I talked to Woody and Simu and Finn at the junket on Sunday. Woody was telling me how he elected not to do the accent because he didn't want to sound ridiculous. Still, things like that, there are elements where you're going to take it in your own fictional creative direction, and other aspects you're going to mirror exactly as they happen. What were some of those elements you wanted to make sure you put on the big screen exactly as they happen in real life?
I think the main thing is about the world they inhabit and the environments they're in. I want them to be as accurate as possible, because I think the environment of saturation diving is so alien to most people, and it's such an important part of the film as well. So that was one of the key things I wanted to get accurate and correct.
Absolutely. Talk to me about the team aspect of Simu, of Woody, and of Finn together. It feels like they all play such a trope that I've seen before, but also take it in their own unique spin. How crucial was it to get that casting right?
Well, I mean, the thing is, the casting is just one of those things about where Woody was absolutely my top choice from the beginning. So was Simu and Finn as well, actually. Because when you meet them, they actually have the elements of the real characters themselves naturally. So you kind of get drawn into that, and they just connected with what the characters were straight away. So it wasn't much of a change from how the real people were at all. And the way they all get on and the camaraderie is how the real characters are as well. So it just translated beautifully into the fiction.
Very well said. I'll wrap with this. How long do you think you could hold your breath underwater for?
I think I can do 3 minutes.
You are number one right now. Mitchell said 2 minutes.
Well, I don't have to prove it, do I? But
No. But still, a realistic, ambitious goal. You say 3. You're confident.
I'm pretty confident 3, yeah.
Okay, you're number one right now. We'll have to ask the rest of the cast. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you. So Cole, you did the composition for this. The composition. Why do I call it the composition? You did the score for this movie.
Score for this movie.
Something I found so fascinating is there are moments where the score just gets deleted completely. We hear that silence, we see that darkness, and what happens for me as an audience member, I hear my heart beating out of my chest. Talk to me about the decisions of when to take away the score and when to really bring it home.
Well, first off, if Alex has deleted my score, there's hell to pay. So I'm going to see this in a minute. But no, you're always going along, kind of trying to create that tensity that's going on. And suddenly, I think the most effective thing is instead of making it a lovely musical moment, it's like, just kill everything. And all you hear is the sound of the breath, the last breath, all those things coming through. And I think sometimes, particularly in a massive cinema like you're about to see it, that's way more effective than beautifully scoring this thing. Sometimes you just make a hard cut and be really bold about it.
When it comes to designing a score for a film like this, where we're setting majority of it underwater, are you kind of pulling things from like the real world, like certain sounds that happen when you're in a vessel like that and mixing it in with instrumentals?
So I went down to Malibu and tapped a 35-foot yacht. It was like this random thing that was there. I went out, had a microphone, and just started tapping it. And that's all the rhythm that you hear in it. So every single drum beat that you hear has got that sound going, and that's all this 35-foot yacht, and the person doesn't know that I've actually sampled it. So
that is the coolest thing ever. I love when I hear this from artists all the time, when they take a certain thing, they sample it, and they just distort it and distort it and distort it and make it their own.
Well, so the other thing is the main tune that you hear in it. You start off every soundtrack with a whole, how can I make this cool? How can I make this specific to this film? But while I was down at that boat, there was a dripping, you guys call it a faucet? A dripping tap. So it was literally, there was a sound and it's drip that went into the water. I was like, well, that's really cool. I couldn't recreate it. So when I went into the studio, just recorded this dripping faucet. And again, that combined with the electronica is the main theme that you hear. I'm pointing to the poster there, but is the main theme that you hear whenever you hear that theme in it. So all of these things, while you don't know if the audience will recognize it or not, they're in it subliminally so that they're feeling down there with the divers.
Well, they'll know when they watch this interview, that's for sure. Well, we'll wrap with this. I've been asking everyone, how long do you think you could hold your breath underwater for?
Oh God, 37 seconds.
Okay, you're last right now. You're third though, you're third.
Who's winning?
We have Alex at 3 minutes. That's what he claims. Mitchell at 2 minutes, and then you're at 37 seconds.
I feel I need to give you another answer.
You're a bronze medal right now. You're still on the podium, technically.
Okay, how many more interviews you got to do?
Probably at least 3.
Okay, I'm out.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate you.
Man.